Hello and welcome to our webinar on the enterprise customer experience and Zoho. And today we are having a conversation with Zoho Evangelist LSP. My name is Brett Martin and I am joined today by Tyler Colt. We're both from Zenatta Consulting and we're so happy to have you with us, LSP. And you're the senior evangelist for Zoho. You've been creating awareness for Zoho for quite a while now, and we just kind of love some of the work you've done, and we're kind of happy you agreed to join us today. So thanks so much for joining us and going over how important customer experience is to enterprise and Zoho in general.
Thank you very much. I will get started with a quick introduction on Zoho, folks. So Zoho, it's our 25th year this year. So it's been a organic approach to business that has seen us go from strength to strength. Started out with 5 people, now over 9,000 employees. And we offer over 45 different web applications, cloud-based applications, cutting across every part of your business, be it sales, marketing, HR, finance, low-code platform, business intelligence, HR, you name it, we got it. And that's the vision that we are marching towards, to be the operating system for a business. And a part of this whole story is, while we want to be an operating system for business, there are also angles around customer experience, employee experience, collaboration, communication, and all of that is encompassed into this offering that we have. We have over 60 million users using our products, spread in over 180 countries. Something interesting about the company itself, it was bootstrapped in 1996, has been private, and we do not have any idea to change that. And interestingly enough, we as a tech company have been profitable from 1996 every year. So 25 years of profitability as a private company. That is something probably interesting in the tech business today. So just want to call that out. It has been an organic approach for us, like I said. And Zoho also has another division called the Managed Engine division, which mostly sells software to enterprise IT customers. 65% of our customers in that part of the business are enterprises. So, the session today, we're going to talk about enterprise customer experience. I just want to start out with a definition for what customer experience is all about. It is how a customer feels about your brand or the service or the product that you have to offer. And what does it mean? What does it mean to say what kind of experience are they having? At every touch point, be it the sales team or the marketing team or the support folks, at every touch point a customer has with your organization, what is the experience that you're creating? And while we are looking at definition as creating experience at every touch point, why does it matter? It matters simply because customer experience increases customer trust and brand loyalty. That's the first part. Second, it helps you reduce churn and help increase customer retention. And third of all, it's all about customer trust. The minute they trust you, they're going to be advocates. It's going to result in advocacy. That's why customer experience is important. That's why everybody wants to do it today. And all of you are on this webinar simply because, not that you don't know the definition, but then everybody's trying to solve this problem. How can I enhance experience at every touch point a customer has with my organization? And over the years, what has happened is, there's been an evolution. So what was essentially about buying a good product from an organization or getting a good service from an organization has now, customer priority has now gone into experiences. What does it mean? What does it mean in terms of, how are you interacting with them? How are you nurturing the lead? When they are becoming prospects, how are you nurturing the lead? And what is the experience that you're creating there? And at that point, if you see, there's a marketing angle to it, there is a support angle to it. As a company, as a business, as a customer comes to you to evaluate your service offering or any business offering that you have, across sales and marketing and support, what are the interactions that they are having? And that is what they're focusing on. You may have a great product, but if you do not create the right experience, it really doesn't matter anymore in these days. So one of the things that I kind of talk about is, how do you measure? What about creating a model that measures customer focus and operational efficiency. And here's a model that we have that we talk about. The first one, I'm going to talk about the boutique organizations. Boutique organizations, they have excellent customer focus. They almost create a personalized customer experience, but then their processes are always in evolution because by and large, they tend to be smaller organizations and they do not have the tools to scale. That's the biggest challenge. While they have a great customer experience, they're pretty low on operational efficiency. And then I want to talk about endangered organizations. Out here, they have low operational efficiency and they also are pretty low on customer focus because they have siloed organizations. They don't have unifying tools that can pass information across different departments for people to make informed decisions. And then the industrialized organizations, they have excellent operational efficiency, but then customer focus is low. They have all the tools, they have the context of information, they have internal collaboration, they have just about everything that makes their processes to be rock solid and bulletproof. However, the customer focus is pretty low because it comes down to culture at that point. It's not necessarily about how high your operational efficiencies are. You may have the great tools, you may have all the processes in place, but then the customer empathy or thinking of it from the customer standpoint is something that they lack. And then the fourth organization, this is pretty much the aspiration for every organization who have high customer focus and high operational efficiency. And at Zoho, we believe in helping businesses with the technology to help them to be a strong organization, meaning someone that can have high operational efficiency and high customer focus. Now, when we look at a business, this is what I call the anatomy of a business. It starts off with the mission. The mission basically sets out the tone for what a business has to do, right? It could be making a business offering such as a product or a service, whatever that be. The mission is to make it possible. The leadership team, they make the decisions at every level from a strategic standpoint as to how the company has to move towards that mission that they have set out to do. The internal teams are responsible for making those or implementing those strategic decisions and bringing to life those products or services that the business intends to offer. And then you have the customer-facing teams who are responsible for taking the product to the market, to the customers. And the customers, they could either be, they could be consuming your service or your product, whatever the business offering is. They are the ones who consume the offering, and they are the ones who drive the demand. Now, across each of these layers, as you can see, there are people at every level. They're at the leadership level, you have the business unit heads, the country heads, and so on. If you're looking at the internal teams, it could be the supply chain, it could be the finance team. These are operationals, engineering, just about everybody who is responsible for creating the service offering or the product offering and taking it to the market. And then there are people who take it to the customers. They could be your sales team, marketing team, your partner ecosystem, your distributor channel, just about all of them. And then the buyers themselves, the customers could be buyers or users or visitors, depending on what your business offering is. And typically what happens is the feedback essentially bubbles up from customers all the way up to leadership. However, customer experience trickles down from top to the bottom. So it's all about having that culture of being customer-centric. It doesn't start at any level. It has to start at the leadership level. It has to then permeate to every other layer of the business. And as you can see, to deliver a great customer experience, it takes the entire village. And just about anybody who is a part of an organization that has any service or product to offer, guess what? You are a part of the customer experience team. You could be in HR, you could be in finance, you could be in engineering, you could be in sales. No matter where you are, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it takes just about every individual who's a part of the organization who has to be passionate about the customer experience aspect and understand that they are a part of that experience. They are the touch point that enables that experience to happen.
The one thing that kind of unifies all of this is communication, though, I would guess at the end of the day, active communication.
Communication, and I would also say culturally being aware as to how you want to, how you want to steer the ship Brett, because I think communication again is a technology layer, but then at the outset, I think culture is important to emphasize the fact that at every touch point, you want the customer to have the experiences. Yes, collaboration and communication plays a very important role, 100%. So again, I wanted to kind of bring in the angle of the anatomy of the business that I described earlier and look at what are the things that Zoho can do from a technology standpoint to augment each of these layers. If you're looking at customer-facing functions, be it from a sales angle or a marketing automation angle or support angle, Zoho has these set of products for customer experience. You have the CRM application, you have the marketing automation application, we have the field services application, we have a help desk and support tool, and project management, brand management, and all those things as a part of that stack that we offer. Now, if you look at the customer-facing teams or internal teams, they would be using tools such as our finance applications, our HR applications, our project management tools, and so on. At the very top, we also have a business intelligence offering called the Zoho Analytics, which helps the leadership team to connect the dots at each layer of the business, where they can have unified analytics, where they can basically look at, the customer, pulse, or have a customer pulse, meaning they can look at how good their support teams are, how good their sales team are, because the analytics layer basically plumbs all the data across each and every system that we have, and it gives them a 360-degree view of what's happening in their business. Again, having that idea as to what's going on, that insight, that layer, as you can see, everybody has something to do, and then at every layer, there are tools that are required for the organization to make decisions. So we'll be talking more about Zoho's CX suite specifically. And like I said, we have over 45 products, and at every level, there's the employee interaction with the customer, there is the partner interaction with the customer, just about everything matters. And across all these layers, like Brett mentioned earlier, a very strong collaboration and communication layer is extremely important to bind things together.
So let's dive in here a little bit with kind of some Q&A. So by the way, anybody who's listening, if you've got a question, please drop it in the Q&A box. Tyler and I got several we're going to go through here, but we'd also love to hear from you. So 25 years you've been around Zoho. That's a long time for anyone in the tech industry. I mean, what do you think are the three things that have really contributed to the longevity of your customer satisfaction throughout the years?
I would actually say that three parts to this. First off, the fact that the company has been longstanding is very important to build trust in the market, Brett. So the fact that we have been organic in our approach, and the fact that we are long-term focused, not looking at short-term gains, we do what is right for our customers. And in that, something like, it might almost sound like a cliche that I'm saying things like customer first, but then, just about when we started the Zoho division of business in 2005, one of the first things that we wrote down was that we will be a privacy-focused company. And something as simple as that means so much today, because even within the offerings that we have the freemium plans for just about every product that we offer. Even there, we do not have any ads. We don't serve any ads. We don't sell our customers information and make money out of it. As an organization, we felt that our customers are our customers. Our customers are not our products. So again, even to this day, that matters. Even to this day, that particular decision resonates, and it is so important today. And also the culture of the company. I'm someone who's been been involved with the company around for about 20 years. I was a full-time employee. I became an independent consultant implementing Zoho solutions, and I boomeranged back after about 10 years of consulting. But at no time did I actually feel disconnected from the company, because the company has always been good to its employees, whether they are with the organization and even with their alumni. That whole idea that they value people, and the fact that, we have over, like I said, 45 different products. And, about of the 9,000 people, up to 1,200 people have been with the company for more than 20 years. And that says a lot about this organization because it's a people's organization. People's organization, customer first ideology, and the fact that we are organic is what really makes this company very unique in the tech landscape today, because just about every business today starts out with an exit plan. And that's not what we are here for. That is very unique about Zoho. We are here for the long term.
And I think that's something we talk about that pretty often, Brett, just the fact that because you're still a private company, you're not beholden to trying to maximize every quarter. You can actually take a long-term approach and think customer first. I mean, outside of kind of the suite as a whole, what do you think are some of the things that Zoho does behind the scenes, that kind of enable you to have that special place in the industry?
I think the first thing, like I said earlier, the privacy angle is definitely important. And then also, a lot of people don't realize that we are a hardcore technology company. And when I say hardcore technology, just about everything that we do is homegrown. Our own, we run our own data centers. Zoho does not run on public clouds. We create our own infrastructure. We have created layers of technology out there for WAN optimization, FPGAs, and we've gone even to that level to offer good services and then be vertically integrated, because vertical integration is so critical. Today, if you come into the Zoho ecosystem, the ease with which you can connect your sales department to your marketing department to your sales department, it is so seamless. If you actually have different vendors out there, it would literally be a hodgepodge. It would be an integration spaghetti, as we call it. And what happens is the fact that it is simple to do it is because we are vertically integrated. We are one technology stack. It allows us to have that seamless flow of information that helps in creating these platforms, which in turn have tangible business benefits right away, because as an end user, you are not poking around different systems. It's so integrated, it's so seamless that you just have access to information, and based on that information, you're able to make decisions. So that's one thing I want to call out. And even things like our own artificial intelligence and ML, it's all homegrown. For example, our systems have natural language processing. It can, for example, our BI layer, the business intelligence platform, supports natural language-based querying based on which you get responses about, for example, you could go to the system and say, show me the sales for the last 2 years. And it's going to present that information in the form of a graph or a chart. And the beauty is that entire stack is built by us. And we even support Spanish language there. So we really go deep into R&D, and that really kind of comes up over time. I mean, a lot of our customers don't really realize that, we run our own data centers, and we have this deep R&D stack. It's almost like they come to expect that from us, in the sense, you go to Zoho, we're going to have it. That's the mindset that they have. Again, it grows on them. We never sell these things. You actually don't see us go and talk about this or try to sell these to customers. They discover this over time. We think this is the only way to do business, or this is our philosophy to business. But a lot of customers come to us for one product requirement, or let's say it typically starts with something like project management or support. But the fact that they start discovering how simple it is to have the integration, and the fact that as a technology stack we're unified, it grows on them over time. So it really helps. And I mean, it's almost always has been a land and expand strategy. They come for one product, and then they start adopting more and more products over time as they discover us.
So, a common thread that I'm hearing from you here, and we talk about this all the time, is just communication, but it's not only external communication, but it's all this internal communication that's enabled by the Zoho products, right? Whether it's Click or Connect, or Desk, where those are both directions. But what we talk to our clients all the time, and you talk about this adoption, is that in order to provide a good customer experience, it seems like too many companies today ignore their customers. And I think a lot of the reasons that they ignore their customers internally is because they're not actually communicating internally as to maybe should be responding to customers. People don't know, there's no knowledge bases, none of these things. And I bring this up not as a question right now, but maybe as a jumping point here, because it seems that, as we kind of go down this path where Zoho seems to really excel, is that just what you're talking about. Customer comes in with one thing, and then it's like, well, we can also solve these 8 other problems for you. And those problems, though, for me, just tend to be around communication. I think today the biggest thing lacking that I see from companies, enterprise, small business, whatever, is just generally ignoring their customers, not responding, not being timely in their responses, I would say.
You know, Brett, you bring a very important point and something that we strongly have believed in for a long time. For example, if you use any of our application, be it our CRM application or the Zoho Desk application, it comes with a collaboration and communication layer built in. For example, let us say you and I work for the support department in an organization, and there is a ticket coming in. And let's say at some point I have to kind of volley it back to you, and there's a volley going on between you and me in terms of ensuring that the customer issue is resolved. 9 out of 10 times, there is no internal communication that can happen within the help desk product. I have to literally copy the ticket number, go to an external communication channel such as an email or a chat application, and share it with you and say, hey, Brett, what happened? Right? But just switch the problem around and say, what if I can actually give you the ticket ID inside the help desk and application where there is a chat bar that's always ready for us to communicate. We can have a chat conversation about the ticket. You and I can have an audio call or a video call to just discuss that ticket. And you don't even need to subscribe to Zoho Click for that. It comes integrated. So what we have done is that whole platform capability, while all our services are available as a standalone mode, the fact that it is a platform, it allows us to create those integrations, those suites. Like I said, we have the customer experience suite, we have the employee experience suite, contextual information shared in context of the application, right? It just makes so much difference for you to be more effective in responding to a signal from either from the customer or the employee, whatever that be. That whole thing is so important right now. The fact that if you have a broken communication system, it is going to hamper your customer experience. And then this is just internal communication. Just what about partner communication? While you can technically say that they are external, it is still important for you to have a good communication line with your partners. So that's where the Zoho meeting comes into play, the webinar comes into play. Just about all the other offerings from an enterprise collaboration standpoint allows you to communicate internally as well as externally. And the fact that it is integrated into these business applications really makes it very compelling.
And we've seen that oftentimes with clients, if you can successfully get the team's internal communications out of their email inboxes and into like the commenting system in a ticket or into a Click channel about customer support, you just see so many benefits that come out of that. And that's just at a baseline, not doing anything too fancy with, advanced automations, just with the pre-built tools that come in the product, right? I mean, just like the desk bot, for example, being able to post those all to a channel, people can say, I got this, and then you're just off to the races. You really access a lot of efficiency.
Yeah. And also, you know what, it's about being timely, right? Again, an email, you're going to have so many emails, but then if you have a chat bar or a bot out there that just basically notifies you, you can probably, maybe if it's a simple response, you're just going to type and then you're done. Or you just take a call and you talk about it and you're done. You really don't have to go through the process of replying to an email, keeping the thread out there and stuff like that. So it's just about ease and productivity that comes into play.
Yeah, it truly is. Actually, I've got a Zoho Writer document up right over here in the corner of my screen with some notes, and I wanted to quickly communicate with Tyler a minute ago, so I just clicked on the chat bottom at the bottom of Zoho Writer and was quickly sent a message. Never had to leave Zoho Writer, never had to do anything. We could quickly communicate back and forth.
It's contextual, right? And also the fact that there's because context is so important for communication. A lot of people actually miss that. The fact that I have to carry on the context from one application to another application, from my chat application to my business application, that itself is a pain. So the fact that you're having a context to the content or for the communication, I think that's all about it, right? Most communication is all about context. Yeah. If it's broken down, then what's the point in communicating? There's no communication happening, really.
All right, so let me give you a quick question here then. So enterprise is a bit different. They're a different animal in many ways than SMB. So what do you think some of the biggest challenges they face with the software that they're using? I mean, other than kind of, I guess a lot of it has to do with the things we're talking about here, but there are other big challenges you see with the current enterprise software solutions that are out there?
I think one of the fundamental challenges that any organization, small, medium, and large, Brett, I think definitely most so in the enterprise space, is driving adoption. And there's only so much that tools can do, and there's only so much that platforms can do for organizations like that. So that's why when I was talking about the anatomy of the business, I said customer experience trickles down. So that trickling down aspect is not just about tools. Tools only augment if the culture is there in place. So having the culture is so important. Again, I can go on forever about this part, but that's a very critical part. So so what can organizations do? Maybe incentivizing the use of tools is probably one way to do. And it's all about understanding what are the frictions. So removing frictions is across different departments, because typically what's happening today is every department goes with their own solution for their department. They go with the best of breed. Best of breed is good, but then if you are marching to the same tune, like you said at the beginning of this call, if you're marching to the same tune, you really need to have a unifying layer. And if you're missing out on that, then you're going to miss out on CX.
Yeah, I think things have changed. You know, the old saying, no one ever got fired for buying IBM. That changed over time. No one ever got fired for buying Microsoft. I think that's changing, dramatically changing over time, where, you need to look for best of breed solutions, best of breed integrations across the board. That applies for everybody.
Yeah.
And kind of building on top of that, I mean, what are some of the specific verticals or industries where you've seen that Zoho has been able to add some value for enterprise customers?
I think from a CX standpoint, I'm talking about the CX. I mean, like we cut across all verticals, but then the top 3 verticals that we serve from the CX standpoint are finance and retail, insurance sector, and real estate. We have seen significant traction in these 3 areas as far as the customer experience goes. And personally, as someone who is involved in the regional side of business here in Canada, I gotta tell you, I mean, real estate, in the last year, just the last year, 2020, has been such a big year for people to move towards tools. I mean, again, obviously the idea was to get to remote tools and stuff like that, but then real estate, mortgage broker specific CRMs and all those things are on such a big rise. In fact, we have also people who have created vertical CRMs for the real estate industry on Zoho platforms. So again, the fact that we are flexible, there's an angle of configuration where you can go into CRM and configure it for your business, but then there's also the customization layer where you can extend the capabilities and bring in vertical specific intelligence to our CRM platform. Just makes it compelling.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mention real estate, because we've seen that a lot, right? Over the past couple of years, there's just been tons and tons and tons of kind of pre-baked CRM solutions for real estate agents. And one of the things that we found with those is that they assume that all real estate agents work the same way. Whereas with Zoho, because you have a lot of the tools out of the box, but then you have that second layer of like, you can kind of build specifically CRM however you want, right? So it comes with all the default functionality you need. But, we found is working with a couple different real estates in different markets, even though we're all buying and selling homes, the processes, the procedures, the reminders is all different, right? Based on how that person runs their business.
Exactly. And I see in the chat, Chris wants me to repeat the 3 sectors. It's real estate, insurance, and finance.
All right, so look, Zoho's historically extremely well entrenched in the SMB space. What kind of percentage? I mean, I know you're seeing some significant enterprise growth, but year over year, I mean, what's that growth look like for Zoho right now?
It's been significant. Again, I don't have a number here, unfortunately, Brett, but then it has actually gone into to the enterprise space pretty well, and the traction has been very interesting. For example, the largest customer that we have has over 30,000 licenses. right? For the CRM, I mean, it's for the Zoho one, but then there's a significant amount of CRM users, CX that's happening out there. And then we have some really big organizations such as Star Health and Agoda, Travel, Portal, and all those people starting to use our platforms.
And what are the key products you're seeing being taken up in that space then, the key Zoho products?
CRM for sure. And then you would see a lot around customer support. And we also see a lot of adoption of our BI platform there. Again, our BI platform kind of is interesting because it's just not about doing business intelligence on the Zoho applications. You can bring in data from any data source that you have. It could be from your ERP system or a homegrown CRM. It could be just about anything. Just having the ability to get insights on what's happening in your business, that's something that also gets significant adoptions.
So CRM, desk, and analytics, those are the big ones.
Yes. All right. And of course, if you want to bring into the other angle is the low-code platform, the Zoho Creator.
Yes.
So I would call them the top four.
I was going to say more and more we're seeing that being like this little bridge, right? There's just this little piece of custom software that will tie everything else together. And, they usually need it for external purposes on iPads or whatever. And just by creating, a nice little creator app and deploying it out to the team, it's that nice little bridge between those key product sets.
Right.
And like you're mentioning too, I think analytics is such a key piece. And it's interesting. I mean, one example that we see all the time is, a lot of this stuff can move over, right? Desk, you move in, CRM, move in. Maybe your accounting system like QuickBooks, a little more sticky, right? Maybe that's a 2-year horizon for getting that moved over. But with analytics, you can still marry that QuickBooks data to your CRM, to your desk, right? And actually see those things, even though they're not all living within Zoho. And that kind of, ties into one of our next questions is, what does the integration landscape look like for some of those products, CRM and desk, how integratable are they with, products that people may already have?
Great question, Taylor. There's so many different angles to it. Zoho always has a good relationship with a lot of the leading vendors out there. Like if you're looking at Microsoft, we have good integration with Microsoft. We have the integration with the Googles of the world, and then Amazon and Apple and so on. So while, the thing about Zoho is we go deep and we also go pretty wide. For example, in terms of the offerings, you can see, just about here, we're looking at sales, marketing, finance, BI, of HR and so on. So the breadth of applications is a lot. And then into each of those, domains, we go really deep. For example, if you take something like the BI product, it integrates with over 250 data sources. You can bring data from your Xero, from Sage, from QuickBooks, from Zoho Books, Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, HubSpot. You can bring in data. So we go deep inside each of those products. There's a lot of integration that goes in. Similarly with CRM, we have a ton of integration with project management tools and other such services, and integration with, let's say, QuickBooks and so on. That's on the individual product side. Now, if you want to build your own integrations, we have Zoho Flow. Now, Zoho Flow, for people who are probably hearing about this for the first time, is the equivalent of Zap or Zapier. Right? So you can build any kind of integration that you want with third-party applications. Because if you're looking at the enterprise landscape, not everybody is going to use just about everything from Zoho out of the box. They may start with CRM, but then, like you said, they may want to use, they may still continue to use SAP or QuickBooks for their account management, for their finance applications and so on. So that's why if you actually recall the slide that I had on the anatomy of a business, at the top for the leadership level, I had analytics, because you still want to bring in data from every system that you have so that you have the insights to make the decisions that you need to make. So like I said, the integrations, every product has its own depth of integration. And then if you want to have custom integration, we have the Zoho Flow layer that allows you to integrate with third-party applications.
Yeah, and then what we found too is, Zoho's API, the REST API, is very easy to work with as well, right? So if you do need some of the custom functionality, you can always hit the API directly, and vice versa, right? You can be making API calls out of Zoho,
Yes.
just using Zoho Deluge. And yeah, we find a ton of use cases for Flow. One of the really cool things about it is, of course, you can have a flow start with just the post of a webhook and then do whatever you want with that, right? Run some code on it, use any of the pre-baked actions.
Yes.
It really does speed up deployment of a lot of that.
Yeah. So yeah, those, I mean, again, for those who are inclined even more technologically, then there's the Zoho Catalyst angle, right? Which is the equivalent of our own microservices architecture. So you can build custom applications. We have the low-code platform, and we'll now also have the pro-code platform, Zoho Catalyst, which allows you to create custom applications ground up, right? So the integration possibilities, we are just expanding it. Almost like Lambda or Google Firebase, Catalyst is the equivalent of such service where you can come, you have the backend exposed to you, you have the tools, IDEs to create applications on top, and you go, and then it's just deployed in the Zoho's infrastructure straight away.
Yeah, and one of our clients actually did that successfully for Zoho Desk and Magento. They built their entire own integration that has like a side panel, the graphical interface and everything that they just deployed just as a direct plugin into Zoho Desk, and it works like a charm.
And it's also interesting. A lot of our customers, who had to kind of do more server-side logic, they used to basically do the low-code side on Zoho Creator and then go to Amazon to fire up the back-end part of it. Now, by making Catalyst available, there's within the ecosystem, not leaving the ecosystem, and then there's also so many different, from the total cost of ownership standpoint, it really brings the cost of ownership down significantly.
All right, let's shift gears here a little bit, talk about analytics and AI, so specifically ZIA. By the way, does ZIA stand for Zoho Intelligence Artificial?
No, it's Zoho's Intelligent Assistant.
Intelligent Assistant. Okay, got it. All right. So, but seriously, ZIA has just grown and grown and grown. It's worked its way into virtually every single product, and you're finding it, more throughout the entire ecosystem. The artificial intelligence engine, it particularly ties together exceptionally well with Zoho Analytics. So, how do you see that playing a role with enterprise and customer experience going forward?
I just want to share a little bit of information about ZIA itself. So ZIA, like I said, stands for Zoho's Intelligent Assistant. The thing about ZIA is, while we have created that over time, every product has its own implementation or manifestation of ZIA. For example, ZIA in the context of Zoho Analytics is having the natural language layer. So someone who is not conversant using a drag and drop interface to create a report, they can go into Zoho Analytics and say, show me the revenue for the last 2 years in Texas. You type in this question, or you basically even speak this question, because it also has the access to the microphone. You can actually speak this question, and a chart or a report comes up. Now, if you take ZIA in the context of CRM, it tells you what is the best time to write to someone in your prospecting list or your account list. Based on the customer's availability, based on past interactions, it's going to tell you what's the best time to contact them. Now, if you go to Zoho Desk, it has another variation out there in terms of it makes you suggestions about, based on a question, it gives you the sentiment based on the interactions that you're having with with the customer. It gives you the sentiment of the ticket. So ZIA is just not one thing. ZIA has a manifestation in each and every offering that we have. ZIA has a manifestation in customer experience. It has a manifestation in business intelligence, in support, in marketing, and just about every other product that we have. And that's just because we have a common machine learning practice, and then we just create those industry or domain specific manifestations of ZIA in the product. Now, coming to analytics, yeah, it's very important part of it, because it gives you the insights, connected insights, or as we call it, unified business analytics, because you just can't look at the sales department or a CRM's data to come to conclusion, right? You may want to connect the information that you have in your CRM with the Google ad spend that you're doing and look at the ROI. Because otherwise, if the cost per lead is $1 million and you're selling $100,000 worth of products, what's the point really, right? So the ability to bring the data from all these departmental information and blend the data automatically, which is again something that Zoho Analytics does. If you bring in data from Google Ads, if you bring in data from, let's say, your Salesforce system, your QuickBooks system, it will automatically create the model where you can do the end-to-end analysis of the ROI at the sales level, at the marketing level, and so on.
And we found just a huge use case for that. I mean, we do it with Zoho Forms. They actually have a pretty excellent little tracker you can embed on the site to grab, like a Google ad information and pass it to the CRM. We found, and not going down a rabbit hole of that topic, but for so many, the success of marketing ends at getting the click or getting a form filled out, and that's how we're judging, ad spend and the ROI on it. But using a tool like analytics, you can actually connect it through to a paid invoice or a closed won deal and actually understand your ROI. Because you could be running Google ads that are getting tons of clicks and tons of form fills, but the intent of that search, it doesn't actually give you the right lead.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, that's why I'm saying it's important to connect the dots. Without connecting the dots, it's important. I mean, why is it important? Because you're having a great marketing traction, but then there's no sale traction. There's something to act on, right? Mm-hmm. So that's such a great point. A lot of people do that. They just look at the Google Forms, the forms embed into the CRM and say, okay, I'm getting my webinar is generating so much, my webinar related traffic is generating so many leads, but how many of them are converting into deals, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think one last little note too with Zia is I think it's a really good augment for analytics where you're going to create that dashboard, right? And it's going to have a lot of those, pre-created pivot tables and charts. But oftentimes maybe I'm reviewing that dashboard and it spurs one more question, right? So then I, as a leader, rather than having to ping my BI team and ask them to create a quick chart for me, I can just type in that question that I had and get it displayed without having to go back and forth and create more workload.
That is the idea of Zoho Analytics, because as a self-service platform, the vision is to make it easy or democratize data, because today, frontline people need access to data. They just can't be going back to the IT team and say, hey, can you build this report for me or this dashboard for me? They know the business data that they have questions, but then what if I can translate that question into a SQL query and give them a report? That's what is essentially what Zia is doing in the context of Zoho Analytics. And now we're also launching what's called Zia Insights, Brett, which will just not, this is about explaining what's happening in a chart. Now, for example, let's say you're running Google Ads, and then and you bring in the data into Zoho Analytics, it automatically creates this report for you. And then it tells you, hey, most of the leads that you're getting from this particular, let's say you're running a webinar related or AdWord, your webinar related AdWord have the maximum traction. It basically gives you probably a map that shows you, across different parts of the country, what's the traction that you're getting for your webinar. But then Zia Insights is going to explain what's happening in the graph. And then it also going to tell you, by the way, the Western region is not getting as much traction as the Midwest. So it's even before you put a pen and paper to kind of get into that detail, analytics is going to bubble up that information for you. It's going to narrate what's happening and what's happening to the data behind the scene. The visual is just one part, because at some point as a user, you are still trying to put a paper and pen together or drill down and do explorative analytics. But then, what if we can zoom out a little bit and say, here are the top 3 insights in this chart. These are the things that you need to look into. Otherwise, you're just going to this, analytics. Well,
because
data exploration is like a rat's nest.
Well, I mean, because there's so much data. I mean, you use Google Analytics, let's say Google AdWords, right? So you're running Google Ads. There's so much data there, not only about region, but of time of day that people clicked, right? Exactly. So you get all of this and it goes on and on and on. And so you pull all of that into analytics. Now, if you're doing it smart, you've got landing pages, you've got Zoho Forms, that's capturing the data. So now you know who filled out, did they go to an appointment? Now you're pulling all that into analytics, right? Then you're pulling the deals. I mean, the ability to look at all the different data, then make intelligent decisions. I mean, I love this recommendation engine because it's a lot of work to go region by region, time of day, what's getting, what words are really getting effective, which ones
Right.
aren't, and there's so much there. And the only way is to really parse it is to pull it into a good BI engine, which analytics is, and then give it back to you. And it connects to everything, which you already know, right? I mean, basically Zoho Analytics has so many connectors that it doesn't matter where your data is, we can get it, right? And you can pull it in. Sometimes you got to do some SQL magic back there on the back end, but at the end of the day, you at least get the data that you need, and you do, a nice way.
And so kind of jumping off analytics, jumping into a product that Brett and I probably have as our favorite. It's one that I think, we oftentimes joke it's the gateway drug into Zoho for a lot of people. We've kind of noticed over the past couple of years, Zoho CRM has been trending up and up in terms of the general ratings and the way that it's regarded in the industry. Maybe want to summarize a little bit of that and share what you think makes the CRM stand out from the crowd.
First of all, I think one of the biggest things, the fact, like I said, the three aspects I'll bring in here. The out-of-the-box features is overwhelming by itself, number one. And with little tweaks, little configurations, going into the UI, making some changes, you can make it, you can personalize it for your, use. And then if you want to go, high octane, then you have the customization layer where you can write deluge scripts and create custom modules for your business. And then now with Zoho Canvas, with this Canvas views in CRM, you can literally make it look the way you want. It need not look the way it look. I mean, again, it's hard probably to explain that. Canvas kind of gets you to view your business the way you want to. It lets you view the CRM the way you want to. So these are some of the aspects that we are constantly talking to our customers, getting feedback based on that. We have been building it. And again, 15 years in business, the total cost of ownership, again, is so low for a platform that is so flexible and capable, right? With such rich features. And what's happening is it's resonating. It's resonating in the fact that we are up in the Magic Quadrants. Nucleus recently announced us to be the leader in the CRM's quadrant that they have. And a lot of interactions, analysts, media, enterprises have started taking a note of this application because it really is capable. It's, like I said, been around, it's stable, works like a charm. It is by far the most favorite application of all among the entire customer base, I would say. Again, of course, Zoho Mail is very popular too, by the way, but Zoho CRM definitely from a business application standpoint is huge.
Yeah, it's power and value. It really is. I mean, this is something I think people have known for a very, very long time. I don't know if you know, but originally Zenatta, we were channel consultants and working with rather large enterprise customers, Dell, Cisco, helping them build out their channel programs. And one day I happened to drop into this company called Zoho in Pleasanton and was talking to them about their channel program. And in doing so, as I started to explore their CRM, we had been putting all our customers into Salesforce. And as I started looking at the CRM, I mean, this CRM has been powerful for a very, very long time. And, it's got the value. I mean, it's funny. It's deceptive. It's like a Tesla Model 3, right? It just sits there. It's $35,000 and it's sitting next to that $250,000 Salesforce Lamborghini sitting there. And you know what? It smokes the Lamborghini off the line, right? I mean, no one would have any idea.
That's a great comparison. That's a great way to put it, Brett.
I mean, it just has all the power, all the speed.
I got some questions for you guys now. In terms of your own experience, in terms of, you've been probably partners with us for like 3 to 5 years now, Brett, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. A little longer if we go through a couple divorces and some backstory, but yeah.
Okay, we remarried again, so that's cool. But in terms of your own experience about, the customer profiles that you have been serving, what can you share about the profile of the customers? How many licenses did you start with 5 years ago? What was the average number of licenses that you were selling versus now? What's the average number of licenses from 2015 to 2020? What's the jump like for you guys?
I think the growth is exponential, and I think it's been incredible. The last 2 years is when I've seen it truly explode, just across the board. And, I think initially it's onesie twosies, five, a 10 user client was pretty big, right? Maybe get 30, 40. Now it's all sizes. It doesn't matter. We've got clients with hundreds and hundreds of seats. Uh, that hesitancy to come to Zoho is gone. And I
Mhm.
think the power, and I think the messaging, and I think, a lot of the things that have happened in the last few years, with a lot of integrations, that have really just, they've taken away a lot of, one thing we haven't mentioned is marketplace, right? Salesforce had the app exchange forever and ever and ever. And so it could always be, well, I have to go to Salesforce because, I need this app to integrate. And then with the Zoho Marketplace opening up over the last few years, and it just growing to thousands and thousands of applications, odds are people will say, hey, does this integrate? Well, let me check. Yes, someone has written an integration for that, and it's in the marketplace. And I think that has really lowered the barrier for entry in a lot of ways as well. As we see some quality applications come into the marketplace that kind of handle these integrations. Zoho didn't have to do anything. The partner didn't have to do anything. There was just someone out there who saw a need and they built the application. And, the best ones, of course, are when the company builds its own application, right? You're excited about that. Like when the third-party vendor says, I want to integrate with Zoho. We're going to control this. We're going to write the entire thing. We're going to drop it in the marketplace. And those are almost always free, as opposed to what you see oftentimes in the app exchange, because it's just, hey, let's get these two products working together and making it work. So that's been big for us. But to answer your question, it's just been exponential growth in size. I think you've seen our probably average size of our client double year over year as you kind of go through, if you were to take a look at that average, and only getting bigger. I think if you had to look at a barrier, and I think someone was asking, I'll kind of tie this in with another question. Mark is asking for his QuickBooks replacement site. My CPA wants a QuickBooks file, right? And I think oftentimes, you can move the enterprise, but they often want to move that finance because, there's so much really cool stuff you can do when you've got Zoho Finance integrated into the CRM, automatic triggers and things like that. And, I think if we do hit a barrier, it's that QuickBooks, but I'm seeing better and better integrations come in for that. And we're seeing a lot of really cool things roll in for that. And so that's kind of going away down the line as kind of a barrier to entry. And you guys have done an amazing job focusing on that accounting sector as well. I mean, you realize it, right? So it's recruiting CPAs, bringing in CPAs, doing the training, talking to them about where it needs to go. So I see that kind of going away over time. No, Tyler, did you add anything to that?
No, I think you covered it.
And in terms of the sectors that you serve the most, where do you get the most traction?
That's a good question. I mean, like you're mentioning, real estate's huge. I think finance, we have seen more and more finance customers. I mean, I think one of the big things, especially with the CRM, is that, it's not just your leads and your deals, because you can create a custom module or basically a custom record. I mean, a quick example, one of our, finance driven customers, we built them a bond yield calculator in the CRM. So when they win a deal, it actually creates a record for each future payment that they would expect from that bond.
Wow.
Right. And that's Zoho, right? You're not going to find that in any other CRM, the ability to build that out. And so we've seen a lot in the finance industry. E-commerce has been bigger and bigger, with inventory kind of being the back end. A couple things around enterprise adoption there, but I think for like small to mid-sized e-commerce companies, it's a pretty solid solution.
The other sector that we see a lot of traction that I failed to mention was IT and ITES. We get a lot of traction.
Yep.
Yeah, I think historically from where we come from, we have a ton of MSPs, a ton of value-added resellers, a lot of tech companies coming in. We're starting to pick up a lot of SaaS companies that are actually moving their entire subscription model to Zoho subscriptions.
Right.
You're starting to see that flow. Really large accounting firms as well, but it's all over the map. We have a huge textbook manufacturer, right, and distributor. I mean, it's just, I don't think we could. It has to be, because we have hundreds and hundreds of clients. I would say we've got 100 different verticals. where, they all fall in, but you pick on the big ones. I think more and more though, law firms, another interesting one that seems to be jumping out a lot, where they're kind of looking for that thing. And then crazily enough, if you want to go down to the small side, we're talking enterprise today, there are a lot of life coaches out there. And so we definitely a lot of life coaches who kind of need this as well. It's kind of crazy to see that vertical, but it's growing. I do think that the whole finance real estate sector though is
growing,
is big. Yeah. Yeah, but we have a huge emergency responder group right now, which is, you talk about writing some things where, they've got people that are out in the field all the time doing emergency response, working absolutely crazy hours, right? Crazy days, crazy hours, because we're setting up a camp because there's a forest fire and we've got to handle this and we have to do that. And so there's really nothing on the market that could handle the California labor laws and what that would look like. And so I think we ended up writing a 180-line deluge script that reads everything and knows when they work, what shifts, how many hours in a day, over week, and everything, and calculated all the California labor laws for them. Again, the power of Zoho. How are you going to get that anywhere else? Crazy stuff. So, and before we wrap, we want to talk about some announcements and events here. We will have another webinar next Tuesday because Tyler and I just can't stop. So we're going to be doing Zoho Recruit. This is as we're running through the entire Zoho suite. So Zoho Recruit will be our next webinar. This is our overview and best practices. We will take you through all the nuts and bolts of it. And basically you watch that webinar, you can be up and running in Zoho Recruit after 1 hour of watching it. And then, of course, if you want to find out about any other events, please head over to CRM Zen for all upcoming events. That's crmzen.com/events. As a matter of fact, starting right now, don't leave though, just quite yet. You've got Talking AI and Automations with Zoho. That's got one of our clients is a guest on that panel. So that should be really good. And of course, the CRM Zen show is every Friday. Then we'll be doing a Zoho Recruit webinar like we talked about. And then Zoho's got one on actionable insights on customer support performance. Just some great stuff. Head over there. Lots of events coming up. And we try to keep track of all of them across the entire Zoho verse, if you will. That's different than the Spider-Verse, but close. All right, with that, LSP, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. We really appreciated you being here.
Taylor, have a good one, guys. Take it easy. Bye.
All right. And if you want to reach us, you can do so at info@zenatta.com or info@crmzen.com, or just head over to those websites.
And on the website is where you'll find all of our episodes of our podcast, which kind of roll up all of the weekly Zoho news. You can also follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, as well as on YouTube. We'll see you next time.